To those of us who are on a spiritual awakening journey, I had this realization, this rising, and it was really funny to me because I was in deep meditation and deep contemplation. And one of the things I was recognizing is that, of course, we are already free. And when I talk about this, I'm talking about from an internal perspective. When you know who you truly are, your well being is always and already assured, right? But the funny thing about that is most of us are so programmed to be enslaved that if we had freedom, we honestly wouldn't know what to do with it. And I was having that emotion rise up within me, that thought, like, well, damn, if I'm free, what do I do now? And I started laughing because it was so funny, because it was this recognition that most of us are so used to being on the plantation. And when I talk about being on the plantation, I just, that whole hustle hard culture and work hard and effort your way to success, and you have to earn love or you have to earn money and all this other things. And if we were all given freedom, like just handed the gift of freedom, a lot of us wouldn't even know what to do with it because we are so conditioned to be enslaved, so conditioned to live in fear, and so conditioned to move from a place of, if I don't do this, then something bad will happen. And so I started contemplating it more deeply, and I was like, oh, it's just a different way of being. It's a completely different way of being. It's like you are unhooking your reality, your belief system from a programmed subconscious belief system that we've all been given since childhood, since birth, right? And you're locking in and you're hooking into something more everlasting, beyond just this fleshly earth suit, that we're playing on this playground called earth, right? And you're locking and tapping into something beyond what our human minds have been conditioned to believe. And, one of the things my higher self, my divine team were sharing with me were that, part of that is there's this sort of limbo place of not knowing what to do because like your old belief system is disintegrating, it's crumbling, and what is your true state of being, your true way of moving through life hasn't locked in yet. And I like to think of this as intuitive way of living, just in living intuitively, and your soul sort of moving into the driver's seat of your life, and you moving from a place of joy, passion, curiosity, exploration, right? These are the things that our souls came here to play with, right? And so that hasn't necessarily tapped into, like, locked in yet. And so there is this sort of grace period where you're sort of figuring that out, like a little child, like a baby learning how to use its legs, and you're learning how to move through life in a different way when you start accessing what my divine team calls the freedom paradigm. When you start moving from this way of living and knowing, you start recognizing that, oh, I'm a divine infinite being, but the way that I used to move was definitely from this fearful, limited place of thinking and being. And so when you move from the freedom paradigm, when you move from your true state of being, it's a new way of being that has to tap in, that has to lock in, and your actions start to come from joy, from love, rather than from this fearful place of being. And there is that sort of teeter-tottering period where you're going from infant to adolescent to adulthood in your sort of awakening journey. And I'm still on that journey. I'm definitely still on that journey. But I thought that was funny, just that recognition that, oh, shoot, if I was given freedom, I don't even know what I would do with it. I'm so conditioned to believe that I'm not free. So if freedom was given to me, what would I do with it? And I already know what I would do with it, but in my personal life. But I just thought that was funny, just that recognition that most of us are so conditioned to be enslaved or to be in bondage that we wouldn't know what to do with freedom if it was given to us. And, some of us, oh, we do this and do that, but a lot of times, like energetically, most of our come from is from fear. Most of our come from is, if I don't do this, something bad will happen. And this is just an invitation to look at those beliefs and look at, your come from on a day-to-day basis. Is this, where's your come from? Where's your energetic signature? Where's your energetic set point really anchored in? And, let that be a contemplation, and that you can move from a place of freedom and what that looks like contemplating what does that look like? What does true freedom look and feel like in my life, in all areas of my life? If I truly had true freedom, which we all do, we all have access to it, what would life really and truly look and feel like? I hope this message finds you well. Peace, love, and light.